This is a heist for the Chicago Bulls. Of course, the Chicago Bulls are looking to make some changes in this offseason and looking to find some value with some key pieces on the team. However, it looks like one of those targets are coming in form of Golden State Warriors restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga. Hello, my name is Isaias Jackson Jr. Thank you guys so much for tuning into Bulls Digest. We got to get into all the news and notes of Jonathan Kuminga, the Chicago Bulls' interest in the man, and what it's going to take to put him in a Chicago Bulls uniform. However, 67.5% of you guys are not subscribed. 32.5% of you guys are. We appreciate you guys on both sides of the field. And look, I'm just going to play a meme with you guys today. My socks got wet earlier. Just the absolute worst feeling in the world. If you don't hit that subscribe button, I'm jinxing you. Your socks are getting wet tonight with your feet in them. I'm putting it out there in the world. I already said it. I've spoken it to existence. If you don't hit that subscribe button, your feet are in trouble. I'm putting it out there. Thank you guys so much for also tuning into Bulls Digest, and also thank you for your support as well. Golden State Warrior star could be Chicago Bulls target. And that I fully agree with. I think that's a breath of fresh air after coming off of, Luka Doncic talks here in the Chicago Bulls. We're willing to give up anyone and everyone for that man. And of course, if you're Luka Doncic, why would you? And of course, you could do the same for Giannis Antetokounmpo, another name who's been swirling around in the Chicago Bulls trade rumors that honestly I don't want to see happen if I want to see pretty much the youth of my team just squandered away out to Milwaukee or squandered away out to Dallas if the chance presented itself. So I'm okay with what we have now, and Jonathan Kuminga I think will be a much better move, and also it will help you keep the stars that you have intact. The Chicago Bulls need to get younger and prioritize their future. They've wadded in the middle of a down Eastern Conference for what feels like an eternity. They started on that last season by trading away Zach Lavine, but they could step further by acquiring more young players and trading away Nikola Vucevic. And Nikola Vucevic's name was all around the trade block, even with Zach Lavine. Of course, you've seen the trade that sent Zach Lavine over to Sacramento, the three-team trade between the Kings, the Spurs, and the Bulls. The Bulls getting Trey Jones, of course, Kevin Huerter, and Zach Collins. Now, Nikola Vucevic, I think it's obvious why, and I think it's a really good reason why the Chicago Bulls chose to keep a guy like Nikola Vucevic. He kept the ball rolling for the Chicago Bulls. He was consistent at that center position. Even when he got injured, Zach Collins did pick up the pace. Zach Collins did hold his own there. But in saying that, were you going to trust Zach Collins consistently at the center position if you would have traded away Nikola Vucevic? I would have liked Nikola Vucevic to just ride it out for the Chicago Bulls and then seeing the value you get from the man when the season is over with. And seeing that it got them to the 9th seed after the All-Star break, even with him going down with an injury for a split second and coming back, I think that was worth it. I definitely think it's worth it. Grant Hughes of Bleacher Report put a list together of ambitious targets for every team this offseason, listing Golden State Warriors forward Jonathan Kuminga for the Chicago Bulls. So, base year compensation rules make a sign and trade involving a restricted free agent like Jonathan Kuminga ambitious. The logistics, Kuminga counts as a full new salary coming in, but only half going out are prohibitive. So, yeah, the $30 million say he signs is going into the Chicago Bulls, but the Golden State Warriors still would have to keep up the $15 million of that as well. So, even looking at that, the Bulls are expected to hand their own restricted free agent, Josh Giddey, a hefty deal in free agency, something that we've gone over numerous of times, and something that we're pretty much expecting. At least we're hoping that the Chicago Bulls are looking to at least let Josh Giddey either test his value out there in the open market, seeing what he could get, and then matching it, or just paying him outright, which you're still going to be playing a really, really, really dangerous game doing that itself. So, of course, that'd be a risky long-term move because Giddey doesn't have much of a market. Not that stopped the Bulls from overspending on Patrick Williams, as we also seen before. And because it's unclear if defensive issues will allow him to meaningfully help a winner. So, I won't necessarily say that this man is cones. I won't necessarily say this man is just sitting there just letting guys just blow by him. But, you play some consistent ball against this man. Say you have a nice 1v1 matchup with a guy like Jonathan Kuminga, he does, I think, wear out very easily if you have him in a post for a standard amount of time. Say you have like somebody like a DeMar DeRozan who is going to back him down, who is going to wear him down in the post, and then mix his game up a little bit and have him or have him baseline or have him at 3-point range and pretty much going there just either playing iso ball or just shooting lights out on him. Jonathan Kuminga, at least on this defensive side, definitely can be hurtful for your team when you're seeing it. And that's one of the reasons why the Golden State Warriors have kind of really soured on him, because I remember that even being a bright spot, even a vocal point for him, at least for the Golden State Warriors, something that they felt that they could build upon in his game, something that they could work on to improve and also make him more of a lethal threat on the floor. Now, offensively, of course, he's still that. He still can contribute in a huge way. Defensively, just not a whole lot. Not a whole lot at all that you could do with him there. So that is something that he's definitely looking to improve. But at 22 years old, you're not really going to be stressing about that too much because, as we mentioned before, yes, it's something that you're going to work on and get help on as well, depending on what team that you're going to land on and what team is going to pretty much value in that in you as well. If Chicago is going to commit to one member of the 2021 lottery in Giddey, why not double down and get the guy taken one pick later in Kuminga? At the very least, Kuminga's elite athleticism, self-creation, and free throw drawing prowess could balance out some of Giddey's deficiencies. Since we have to assume the Bulls aren't going to tear their roster down anytime soon, prioritizing players in their early 20s would at least offer some upsides in their annual pursuit of 42 wins. And yeah, that's the truth. And also just a talented 20-year-olds as well. You know, Josh Giddey and Kobe White, of course, coming in at least Josh Giddey, I won't necessarily call him there yet, but Kobe White, of course, he's reaching that veteran territory as we're seeing so far. So now we're going to be looking at him if he does sign another long-term contract with the Chicago Bulls or goes forward with the extension, which, you know, that's still up in the air. Kobe White will be the vet. Kobe White could be the vocal point of the team here, and could be the leader, the go-to guy, of course. And with you see the team around him, the Montes Buzelis of the world, the Josh Giddeys of the world, and then you throw in a Jonathan Kuminga, who I think is just a huge upgrade compared to Patrick Williams. Because although both guys definitely can be a necessity at that defensive, just on the defensive side of things, at least on the offensive side, you're going to get a little bit more consistency with Jonathan Kuminga. Patrick Williams, you thought there was going to be some progression there, and it just never showed up, just never happened there. And just looking at the stats, from these guys as well, just looking at Jonathan Kuminga, man, that hair, 15 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and of course, as we mentioned in the defensive game, 0.4 blocks, 0.8 steals, 1.5 turnovers per game, but he's shooting 45% from the field, 30% from 3-point range, something that definitely would like to be improved upon as well. Shoots 28% on corner threes, but 6'8", 22 years old, you're getting a young player that is going to potentially come out to be really, really good. A guy that you're not going to complain about coming off your bench, and a guy that you're not going to complain about or not hesitate to start. You know, when you don't have anybody at a higher level at that 4 or even at the 3 spot as well for Jonathan Kuminga, you're not going to shy away from putting him on your in your starting rotation, as you've seen from the Golden State Warriors. Now, also, you see from the Golden State Warriors, they didn't hesitate to yank him out of there as well. So that's one thing that also the Golden State Warriors never shied away from, even when they saw that he definitely wasn't helping on the defensive side. And of course, the 3 ball just wasn't working for him. His offense, just his offensive effort just wasn't there at all, at least temporarily as the season was progressing. They said they took him on the bench. You started seeing a little bit more of the Brandon Podziemski. And then, of course, you started seeing Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green. Draymond Green started getting a little bit more minutes. Of course, him and Jonathan Kuminga working together. You've seen them on social media as well. Jonathan Kuminga, I think he just has too much upside, for the Chicago Bulls to not at least look at it and see what you can do to get somebody like a Jonathan Kuminga on your team. And of course, looking at Patrick Williams, 9 points per game, 3.8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.4 turnovers, pretty much the same stats in blocks and steals per game. shooting 39, coming up on 40% from the field, and of course 35% from 3-point range. All things that can improve. He's 23 years old. But Jonathan Kuminga seems like he already has it together and can improve more in his game on the offensive side. A lot of things that you can work on for Jonathan Kuminga. Somebody that you're not going to hesitate to put in that starting lineup as well. So, honestly, when you look at Patrick Williams, oh yeah, I'm hesitating all day, especially with the work that you've put on in the past, not even just this season, the past couple seasons. And we talk about it all the time. You know, I'm sounding like a broken record just talking about it. I'll just move on. Nikola Vucevic, 18.5 points per game, 10 rebounds, 3.5 assists per game, 53% from the field, 40% from 3-point range. He was consistent, just absolutely consistent. Coming up on 35 years old. That's pretty much elderly, you know, in athlete terms. Trust me, you are not elderly at 35 years old. But man, they make it seem like you're ready for a wheelchair, you know, as an athlete once you hit pretty much past 34. But Nikola Vucevic, of course, is a guy that could be a key piece for the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors are in need of a center. Of course, I'm a fan of Quentin Post, but Quentin Post is not going to grant you a huge amount of success, you know, starting at your center position as the Golden State Warriors. I do think that you throw in Nikola Vucevic there, you bring in a veteran that's going to come in for the likes and coming around the likes of Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, Draymond Green. I think that helps a whole lot. And yes, you do trade away the youth in Jonathan Kuminga, but you still have so much more you have to work with. Of course, CJD. You still have Brandon Podziemski as well. That's going to come to, and of course, I mentioned Quentin Post. You know, you still have a lot of youth there. And for the Chicago Bulls, I mean, you're coming through. The only problem that you have here is Jonathan Kuminga is coming in restricted free agent. You're bringing in a whole lot more money as well. And then that also leads into the question of Kobe White. So in bringing in all those variables, is it worth it? Do you think it's worth it for the Chicago Bulls to bring in Jonathan Kuminga? Do you think he will be an upgrade for the Chicago Bulls? Or do you think this is somebody that the Chicago Bulls can definitely pass on? Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.